call him, or sharpshooter, but sniper, because he didn't know there was a problem. He's an extraordinary shot, obviously, and he didn't know there was a problem. And he was able to pick it all out within 5 seconds. And he used one bullet from very far away, I guess probably about 400 yards. The shooter was 130, but he was on the opposite side of the field and the podium. And he saw the smoke and the flame from the gun, immediately recognized it.
Okay, let me see if I can explain to you what's going on here. Good evening or good afternoon. My name is Elliott Francis. We know each other, haven't seen each other in a while. Here with now with Elliott Francis, broadcasting or streaming live. Forgive me. Broadcasting was what I did for 45 years. That's what we talked about. But tonight, what we're trying to do is a live fact check of the interview between Elon Musk and the Republican presumptive nominee, Donald Trump. Actually, it's not presumptive anymore. They did go through their convention a couple of months ago, so he is the official nominee for the GOP. It's the first interview together, as far as we know, and what we're trying to do essentially is to listen in or watch this interview that was supposed to go off at 8 o'clock Eastern time and try and fact check it in real time. They've had some problems. Nothing has gone well with them, as is usually the case when you're trying to stream video live on Twitter or X, or whatever the hell it is they're calling it this day. Anyway, there was and let me show you this. I'll pull the screen over for a second. What you're looking at there is a full screen of the page, just where it was supposed to be today, reporting that they had, and this comes from the page of Elon Musk, about 27 minutes ago. He claims there was a massive DDoS attack. That stands for denial of service. You've seen that before when a hacker comes in or something happens with your service. Maybe you just don't have enough bandwidth and everything goes to hell in a handbasket, which is what happened today. So it doesn't appear as if there's going to be any video, nothing live, no live video. And what we have now apparently is just audio.
Who sort of
let you hear that for a second.
And then ultimately a man lifted himself up to the roof, could barely do it because he was pulling himself up.
That, of course, is Donald Trump, presumably with Elon Musk live, so they could they couldn't get the video up, so they're going to go with audio. And I'm not quite sure that's even worth my time or even your time to sit here and try and fact check. We'll listen in for a while and see if in fact there are any takers. If anybody wants to sit here and listen to these two go round and round in circles and possibly lie their ass off for about 2 hours and have us try and turn the lives around. All in audio, no video, none, zip, zero, nada, nothing. So it's a little disappointing because I was really looking forward to sharing this with you. And let me say too, let me just say that we don't do this very often. It's not our habit to give any more air to these two people than they already have, need or want. They get plenty of air, and unfortunately, what they do with it is less than what most people, I would think, would expect. As you've seen before in some of the interviews, most recent interview, of course, with the National Association of Black Journalists in Chicago, an interview, what was supposed to be a Q&A session with three black journalists, three black female journalists, almost turned into the usual Donald Trump circus. Thank goodness for the ABC correspondent Rachel Scott, who was able to push him back on his heels for a second, but that didn't last long, and the rest was a classic collection of Donald Trump lies in the response. So who needs that? So again, let's listen in for a second and see if we can collect some folks under the tent, and if it seems worth our while, we'll continue and listen and fact check maybe.
All these cameras shooting it. So, sort of amazing. But one of the interesting things was that you didn't have anybody flee. You didn't have anybody stampede.
Sure.
Nobody. And there were some people behind me, they stood up and they're looking like, I'll tell you, you want to have them in a foxhole with you. I want to meet some of those people because it's so different from what you heard. But so I was down, but the Secret Service guys, there were bullets flying right over my head. You could hear them go whizzing. And these guys came jumping on top of me, and a young lady, Kate, would jump. They moved so fast, and let me tell you, that took tremendous courage. Now, there was a lack of coordination. There was, obviously everybody understands that that building should have been covered. And
I mean,
that was the big thing.
Looking at the aerial views, that building would be like the number one spot for a sniper. I mean, it's like if you were to pick like what is the favorite, so if the goal is to assassinate, what's your favorite spot? That building. The roof of that building would be number one.
That would have been the spot.
It's like you can ask for a better location. It's like number one.
That would have been the spot. You know what people think is when the local policeman, who by the way, he really he did what he was supposed to do. He couldn't hold on any longer. And then when he got his head just peeking above, this guy standing there with a gun at his head. And when he fell down, again, hurt his ankle very badly, but he was making the calls. But what happened is the firing took place very soon. So what they think is that this guy ran to his site, which he had all planned out with the gun. He ran to the site and he started shooting fast. And maybe that's why he sort of missed. I mean, he got me, but it could have been a much bigger problem.
But he totally would have hit if you hadn't turned your head. So, there was it was a very near thing.
It was a miracle. If I hadn't turned my head, I would not be talking to you right now. As much as I like you,
exactly,
I would not. I would not be talking.
You'd be talking to me from another realm, perhaps.
Yeah, that's right. We'd be talking from a different place. But it was a very terrible experience. The Butler Hospital, they did such a great job. The doctors were so
of course,
good.
Donald Trump right now talking about the assassination attempt just, I don't know, almost 4 weeks ago now. Still a lot of questions on that assassination attempt that we have not, somebody pointed out the other day that we have not heard from the family of the shooter, not anything significant in nature. We still don't know much about the shooter at all. In fact, he presumably was memorialized, buried. Again, not that a lot of people are going to pay a whole lot of attention to him, considering his actions and his behavior on that day. However, in the search for information, for complete and comprehensive information, you'd think we know more from his end. The other thing, too, a couple of things. The Congressional Committee has been called to look into the the assassination attempt. We don't know how long that will take. Maybe, on average, maybe about 3 months. And third, and this is kind of an internet thing, have you seen the scar on his ear yet? Have you seen anything? I mean, yeah, we saw the blood and much of the I don't know, the result of what allegedly happened that day. But we have not seen, I don't think we've seen the scar on his ear. Oh, yeah, I know. No, yeah, we saw the Band-Aid, right? You saw it, right? Yeah, everybody saw the Band-Aid, or whatever the hell that was, Kotex, or I don't know. sheet of paper towel. But no one has seen the actual wound. Like, was it a little clip in his ear or a hole in his ear, or his ear was notched out? Or aren't you curious? I haven't seen anything. Donald Trump, for his part, claims he's a fast healer. Yeah, that was real fast. Anyway, let's go back and listen. Donald Trump being interviewed by Elon Musk.
And when I put the fist up, they were just relieved and happy and thrilled, and the place went crazy. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It was a terrible thing, but it was
incredibly moving. Yeah. Well, and I mean, speaking of the sort of slide that got you to turn that saved your life, really, was the illegal immigration slide. Maybe this, maybe this is worth talking about that.
It was
that slide saved
you're
your
right.
life.
No, the illegal immigration saved my life. You're right, but it was, I had to be at that exact angle.
I mean, that's a great one. saved by illegal immigration.
You know, the incredible thing, though, when you talk about the odds, you had to be exactly at that angle. But the incredible thing is that the chart, I used it less than 20% of the time. It was just a moment.
Yeah.
It's always on my left, never my right, and it's always at the end of the speech. So here we have it. It's on the right, not the left. It's at the beginning, not the end. And even the people that put it up, they were unprepared, and they did a great job. They got it up immediately, fortunately. But I looked to the right, and the bullet came whizzing by, hitting my ear. So it was amazing. But when you think of the odds of that, and you know that normally you wouldn't use it. Normally I wouldn't have the thing, and then it would have been a very different story. It's very much, I say, an act of God. It's a miracle that it happened, and I'm honored by it. I'm honored by it.
Well, what were you about to say about illegal immigration?
Seriously, you're honored by getting shot in the ear? Almost getting your head blown off? You're honored?
And we're going to go back in October. We're all set up, and the people are fantastic in Butler. It's a great area. These are incredible people. Like the three that, in the case of Corey, killed, and the other two, the families I got to know them a little bit, and the families are great. But we're going back to Butler, and I think I'll probably start by saying, as I was saying, prior to being so horribly interrupted. But
so rudely interrupted by an assassination attempt.
But the chart.
Some people have no manners.
Elon, the chart was just a chart that, in my last week, we had the best illegal immigration numbers, meaning stopping. It was at the lowest. You've seen the chart. It's become quite a famous chart.
Yeah.
But that was the lowest point ever recorded. It was a really, I was very proud of those numbers. And then you see what happened with these people, Kamala and Joe. You see what happened. They just let it go. I had remain in Mexico policies. I had all these different policies that was so good. Guys like Tom Homan and Brandon Judd from Border Patrol. These are all people that they've been on television. They said it's the best numbers we've ever had. We had so many different checks. Catch and release in Mexico, not the United. We had catch and release in the United States. We had it in Mexico. We had so many things. We had things where many people come in there, they have contagious diseases. We had everything passed. If you have a contagious disease, I'm sorry, but we cannot allow you into the country. So we were setting literally records, and all I was doing is showing that, and I use it sometimes.
Sure.
And in this case, I'm glad I used it. I can tell you that. But they were fantastic numbers. But I'm going to sleep with that chart always. I'll be sleeping with that chart. That chart was very important. Very important for a lot.
Yeah, you ever wonder why these numbers that he's throwing out about things that happened in his administration, these numbers are never available? He always seems to have the numbers, but they're very arbitrary. In fact, he never mentioned any numbers there, and you won't hear of any numbers either because they don't exist.
I think most people who are illegal immigrants are actually good, but you can't tell the difference unless there's a solid vetting of who comes across the border. does that actually
100%.
represent your position?
I say it
Okay.
very simply. They have to come in legally. They have to be checked.
Yeah.
Because look, Kamala was the border czar. Now she's denying it. Everything that I do, she's
Yeah.
saying she was strong on the border. We're going to be strong. Well, she doesn't have to say it. She could close it up right now. They could do things right now. It's horrible. No tax on tips, and all of a sudden she's making a speech and there will be no tax on tips. I said that months ago. And by the way, they had just the opposite. They had not only tax on tips, but they hired 88,000 IRS agents, and many of them were assigned to go get waitresses and caddies and all of this on tips. They have a policy. They had a policy that they were really going to go after you. And
Yeah. Okay. By the way, Kamala Harris was never in the Biden administration, never designated the border czar. That's a lie. That's fake.
Now they're also
And
saying they did a good job in the border. We had the worst numbers in the history of the world, not of
hold
our
on,
country.
let's listen.
There's never been a country in history that has had a catastrophe like this. We've had, I believe, and I think you believe this too. You hear 12 million, 13. I believe it's over 20 million people came into our country. Many coming from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions, or a bigger version of that is insane asylums. And many are terrorists. And I'll tell you what, they're coming not just from South America, they're coming from Africa, they're coming from all over the world. They're coming from Asia, they're coming from the Middle East, they're coming from countries that are...
Okay, let's talk about this for a second. First of all, the numbers of people who are now coming over the border, who are crossing illegally in the southern border, have reduced by a third dramatically over the past 5 months because of some of the measures put in place by the Biden administration through executive order. As you probably know, let's point out that there was a comprehensive border bill that was in place. In fact, the bill itself was created mostly by Republicans. It contained a lot of compromises that Democrats and others agreed to in the bill. The bill was set for a vote until this guy, Donald Trump, called Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and told him not to bring the bill up for a vote. The bill died, or actually it's now in stasis. So the bill did not pass. Comprehensive border bill that would have locked down the border. Joe Biden said it himself. He would close the border, and that was just the beginning, adding hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring new border guards and solutions to that border to control the influx of undocumented migrants to the southern border. But they killed it because this guy told them to. So let's make sure we're straight on that.
I think like one way to think of it is, who do you want on your team? Who do you want on Team America? And I think we want to just say, okay, we want to let in people who are gonna be great contributors to our society and to our economy, and and who do you want on the team? And it's not to say that, like in my opinion, actually, I'd say like probably most of the illegal immigrants actually are actually good, hardworking people. That's my opinion. But some are not, and you just have this sort of adverse selection process where, if somebody's if somebody's like has a career in theft or robbery, I don't understand what's taken them so long to get here.
Let's point out again, once again, you are listening to the live interview from X, Twitter, whatever the hell it is these days. Elon Musk interviewing Donald Trump live. It was supposed to be a live video interview, but they blew it again. First of all, understand something, and I think some of you already know this. Twitter is not the place for a live video streamed feed. Twitter or X or this platform, this particular social networking platform, is not designed to display and push out live streamed video to hundreds and thousands of users. They just don't have the infrastructure, and they keep trying it over and over again. They tried it first with Don Lemon. It wasn't going to work. Lemon went someplace else. They got sued. Lemon's suing Elon Musk. Musk has tried a couple of other things. It is a text-only platform, a-hole. Get that through your head. So they keep trying to do this, and it didn't work today. Apparently, it didn't work today. What you're listening to is an audio strip of the live interview. This interview is going on as we speak. It was set to begin at about 8 o'clock Eastern time. They were about 20 minutes late. Then they finally wound up with what you hear now. This audio feed of these two sitting around talking with each other. So we're trying to live fact check it as much as possible. It seems to me like a crashing bore up to this point, so it's at some point I just may, go in and have dinner. The hell? What am I doing here? But we're going to continue to try and do this whenever the opportunity arises, and I'm sure we'll have another opportunity. But let's go ahead and listen in again.
If you come back, we're going to kill you. We're going to give you the death penalty or kill you. So they don't want to come back. But these are rough people.
Yeah.
These are criminals that make our criminals look like nice people. And it's horrible what they're doing. And she's in charge of it because, now she's trying to say she had nothing to do with it. And she's such a liar because she was called the border czar the first day, and it was on the headlines of every newspaper. She's the border czar, and she never even went there. She went to...
Again, Kamala Harris was never the border czar, never designated as the border czar. He keeps trying to hang that around her neck. It's a lie.
People can't allow them to get away with their disinformation campaign. Now she's trying to say that she wasn't really involved, and the whole thing is horrible. She was totally in charge. She could have shut the border down without him.
She was not totally in charge, and she couldn't have shut the border down without him.
Border down, he wouldn't even know the difference. But the fact is that she was border czar. But if you don't have to call her that, the fact is you could just call her. She was in charge of the border, and the border was the worst ever.
It's simply not working.
No, it's horrible.
Actually, it's simply not true, Elon. It's not true.
Whether it's a question of intention or competence, either way, we don't have a secure border, and we have people streaming over like it looks like a World War Z zombie apocalypse at times. And sometimes you got
World War Z, a movie looks like. Again, the number of undocumented migrants coming across the southern border has dropped dramatically over the past 3 months. They say at least by a third. If you doubt me, Google it.
For real, and I'm just seeing people stream across the border, and I have to say, at least the people that I saw did not look friendly.
These are
people can look at my video and say, hey, these people look friendly. I don't look super friendly. So.
The people didn't look friendly. They're all brown people for the most part. Why didn't they look friendly, Elon?
These are rough people. These are really rough people coming across. And I know rough people.
You hear the racist tropes coming across here. They're rough people. They're scary people. These are the tropes that they're using now for the base, and hopefully tropes that are not taking hold with independents and swing voters for the most part. We don't think it is. We think there's been a tremendous gravitation to the other side of the aisle since the ascension of Kamala Harris.
They're also taking their non-productive people. Now, these aren't people that will kill you. We have enough of them. But these are people that are non-productive. They are just not productive. I mean, for whatever reason. They're not workers, or they don't want to work, or whatever. And these countries are getting rid of non-productive people in the caravans in many cases. And they're also getting rid of their murderers and their drug dealers and the people that are really brutal people. And they're coming into our country at levels that have never been seen before. And I saw an ad just before I got on the air. I'm walking over here, and I saw an ad.
Border crossings are down. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say that. Maybe I'll just have to put it up on the screen somewhere. Border crossings are down. Not like it was last year.
It's terrible.
Due to the Biden administration.
Fundamental existential issue for the United States. And if we have another 4 more years of open borders, and it's going to be even worse with another 4 more years, it's going to be even worse than it's been for the past 3.5 years. I'm not sure we've got a country.
You don't
left
have a country
at that
left.
point.
Elon, if they get in, you will have 50 to 60 million people from all over the world, not South America only. You know, we think of South America, we think of Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico, you know, the four. But it's not that. It's everywhere. They're coming in from
Yeah,
everywhere. And I had to stay in
yeah. I think
Mexico.
this is a super important
Yeah.
point. Like people, it's like basically when I went down there, I was like, well, where are people from? It's like almost no one was from Mexico. To
No,
be clear,
Mexico less,
it's
less of
just the
the others.
border. It's just the border with Mexico. But the people coming in, it's Earth, the rest of Earth, and America is only about four.
And you know why it's not why the people aren't coming in from Mexico? You ever looked into that? You ever looked into some of the policies of the past 3 years with the Biden administration, which has, and again, economists and many other people smarter than you or I have talked about this. When we create situations with our border countries and help them economically, help them develop their economic base, then you create a situation where people want to stay home. Nobody, yes, a lot of people want to come to the U.S. Why not? Why wouldn't you? But essentially, if you're from Mexico, that's your home. That's where you want to stay. You only come here because there's something radical going on in your country. You're being harassed or chased by people who mean you harm, who will not allow you to have the freedoms that you are accustomed to in your homeland. And you got to get out of there. But if things are normal, you're being allowed to conduct your life in a normal and pleasant, or at least forward-thinking way, and you stay in your country. And that's how Mexico is now. Their economy is beginning to go through the roof. And I'm trying to think of there's one city there that is going through the roof in terms of manufacturing. And the jobs are plentiful and the money is flowing. And so that's why you don't see a lot of Mexicans coming over the southern border. Of course, for other countries, that's a different story for a variety of reasons. But as I said before, those border crossings are dramatically lower than they were even just 6 months ago because of measures put in place by the Biden administration through executive order, despite the fact that a comprehensive border bill created by Republicans now, and you've heard this too, you've heard this before, a comprehensive border bill created by Republicans was shot down because this guy, Donald Trump, called the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and told him to kill it. Make no mistake, that's the truth. What this guy is telling you is a lie. Let's listen some more.
And then 2 days later, they didn't talk about that. They just said he was bad. But that's okay. That's the way I get treated, and I don't mind that at all. What I can tell you is this. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden in a different...
Yeah.
Look, she hasn't done an interview since this whole scam started. And say what you want. This was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said, we can do it the nice way or we can do it the hard way.
Yeah, they just took him out back behind the shed and basically shot him.
What they did with this guy, and I'm no
yeah.
fan of his, and he was a horrible president, the worst president in history. And one of the reasons he was so bad, first of all, the Israeli attack would have never happened. Russia would...
Did he just say Joe Biden stepping aside voluntarily was a coup? That's a lie, and you know it.
Had Afghanistan, but we think of it. You take a few of those events away, and we have a different world. We would also have inflation was caused by oil.
Yeah, no. I think you're making an excellent point here, which is that when other countries that are thinking about invading or doing bad things, when they're thinking about that, they're thinking about, okay, what's the American president going to do? And do they fear the American president, or is it someone they do not respect and do not fear? And I think they would they have to rightfully be. I mean, but you know, look at the footage of the assassination. They're like, okay, you know, uh, President Trump is like, don't mess with me. I mean, that's like, whereas I think people are not going to be, and they obviously have not been at all intimidated by Biden, and they certainly will not be intimidated by Kamala. And you have to really think of that in the context of global security. That if the American president is someone that, like, you know, evil dictators are scared of, that makes a huge difference to the security of the world.
So I had a good relationship with Putin, despite the Russia hoax that lasted for over 2 years. Just a hoax created by Hillary Clinton and Adam Shifty Schiff, some just bad people, you know, just sick people, frankly. I mean, Schiff is a sick person. He's going to end up probably being a senator. It's hard to believe. The whole thing is hard to believe. But, you know, they put our country in danger with that stuff, too. They actually, when they make up stories, and you have to fight your way out of it for a long time. But I know Putin very well. I got along with him very well. He respected me, and it's just one of those things. And we would talk a lot about Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye. But I said, don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. You know, I shut down Nord Stream 2. That was the big oil pipeline, the biggest, I think, the biggest pipeline in the world going all over Europe. I shut it down. Biden came, and then they say,
Yeah.
you know, I loved Russia. I was a friend of Putin, and I loved Russia. No, he actually said to me one time, he said, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as an enemy. I shut down his pipeline, the biggest pipeline. They were looking at that to
Yeah.
fund, and this pathetic president gets in there, and the first thing he did, one of the early things he did, is he shut down Keystone XL pipeline. Which is
Yeah,
our
okay.
pipeline.
Reasons that Putin is not my friend. So what? Let's just reset for a second. Hi, I'm Elliott Francis from Now with Elliott Francis, streamed live here over YouTube and Facebook. We haven't talked to each other at least live in a while. We're going to begin doing that more and more now that election season is truly and comprehensively underway. What we're doing here tonight, we had intended on trying to bring you the Elon Musk Donald Trump interview. Elon Musk interviewing the candidate for president, GOP candidate for president, Donald Trump. And the idea was to try and fact check this thing in real time, because as we know, whenever Donald Trump gets into a situation like this, what does he do? He lies. And the only way to do these, I think, and I think that this is the opinion of many other people as well, in a legitimate and useful fashion, is to fact check him in real time. Something that's hardly ever done with some of the cable networks and rarely done elsewhere. I think more and more people are warming to that, but we like to start it right here in our own little digital world. What has happened, in fact, because you're saying, Elliott, you said that this was supposed to be a video feed, right? Yeah, it was supposed to be a video feed, but something happened, as is the case mostly or very often with X, Twitter. It shuts down. Too many users. They claim it was a hacker. Essentially, it's what we call it in the internet world, a DDoS, or denial of service. Too many people trying to get into too small a room. You ain't got enough bandwidth, kids. Keep trying to tell you that. Twitter, X, is a text-based platform for social media. It's not meant to be a video-based platform like the one you're on now, YouTube. It's not meant for video. Whenever they try video, it always happens. They always have a problem with it. And tonight is no different. They had to abandon the original idea, and what we're listening to now is a live audio feed of the interview, which has been going on now for about 40 minutes. They were supposed to start at 8 o'clock Eastern. They were about 20 minutes late. We got into it just about 5 minutes after they got into it. We've been trying to fact check some of the stuff, but for the most part, the interview is like kind of like a basic conversation between two people with the same head. He's not challenging him, and it's to be honest with you, a bit of a bore. So we'll listen to it a little bit more. We may jump out of this in about 5 minutes, but we'll let you know soon. If you jumped in, you want to stay with us, feel free to respond in the chat. We'll respond back. and
cannot
see if
do
we can
it.
get through this.
And I told him things that what I do, and he said, "No way." And I said, "Way." And it's the last time we ever had the conversation. He would never have done. I got along well with him. I hope to get along well with him again. Getting along well with them is a good thing, not a bad thing. I got along well with
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un. When I met with President Obama just before entering, it's a sort of a ritual. And I sat down with him and we talked. It was supposed to be for a very short period of time. It turned out to be a long period of time. I said, "What's the biggest problem?" He said, "North Korea." I had that problem worked out very quickly. It was nasty at the beginning with Rocket Man and, all the different things.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden I got a call.
Those were some epic tweets, by the way.
Yeah, they
Those
were.
like
They were
absolutely-
epic everything. He said that he has a red button on his desk. I said, "I have a red button on my desk too, but my red button is much bigger and my red button works." And then I called him
Yeah.
Little Rocket Man of Little Rocket Man. Anyway, here's the bottom line. All of a sudden I got a call from him and they said they want to meet. They want to meet me. And we met,
Yeah.
as you remember, we met in Singapore. We met also in Vietnam. And I got along with them great. We were
Yeah.
in no danger.
It-
But
yeah.
President Obama,
It's because
President
they
Obama
respect-
thought
they
we were going to
respond-
end up in
yeah.
a war, a nuclear war with him. And let me tell you, he's
Yeah,
got a
it's
lot
not
of
true.
nuclear stuff
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
He's got plenty of nuclear.
It's-
He can do plenty of damage. So
Yes, I mean it's because people like Kim Jong Un, they respond to strength, not weakness.
well,
And-
he
and
and I got
if
he
you
and I
project
had a good
strength,
relationship.
you're
Remember,
Yeah.
I met him and we walked onto his land. Nobody ever walked onto his land before. I walked onto. I wouldn't say.
Yeah,
Let's bring
that was
up
cool.
Secret Service again. I wouldn't say they were thrilled when I did that. I walked onto his land, and it was an amazing period. But we were not in danger with him because of me. I always
Yeah.
say that we have enemies on the outside and we have enemies on the inside. We have some really bad people in our government and people that are controlling.
From people like Kim Jong-un, the entire world is always in danger from him, and that hasn't subsided because of Donald Trump. Make no mistake
You have
about it.
a smart president, a president that gets it. We are not in danger from those countries because they need us and they need our help.
Yes, we are.
I mean, we forced Obama, if you think about it, Obama and Biden, and Bush to a certain extent, in all fairness, forced Russia and China together. And if you're a history student, the first thing you learn is you cannot let Russia and China align. But then they also got, if you take a look, Iran, and they have North Korea. That's,
When did he become a history scholar? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Trump is now a history scholar.
very heavy nuclear, which is the biggest threat. The biggest threat is not global warming, where the ocean's going to rise 1/8 of an inch over the next 400 years. And you'll have more oceanfront property, right? The biggest threat is not that. The biggest threat is nuclear warming, because we have 5 countries now that have significant nuclear power, and we have to not
What the
allow
fuck is he talking about?
anything to happen
Nuclear
with
warming?
people like Biden. Biden did something with Russia. There was no chance of him ever going in. And when I left, and then after I left, they started forming big armies on the border with Ukraine, right? And I looked at that, and I thought he was doing that because Putin's a good negotiator. I thought he was doing that to negotiate.
Okay, wait, you got to stop there for a second because I don't want that to get by too far. Nuclear warming?
Now, Russia for as long as
Can anybody look that up for me and tell me what that is? He said the biggest
and we did things and said things.
threat right now is not global warming, but nuclear warming.
By the way, but now he might not even have that IQ at all. There's nothing on the board.
Another piece of shit from the imagination of Donald J. Trump.
So stupid.
Yeah,
that
stupid. You're
that,
right.
that war would have been, that war had zero chance of happening if I were there. Zero chance. He was saying everything the opposite. Everything the opposite. And it's so sad because many more people have been killed in Ukraine than you read about. You don't read about how bloody it is and how disaster.
Sure.
Hey, look, just in the 2 armies, you lost 500,000 people. And, Ukraine's having a hard time. Ukraine, I don't know if you saw the article recently, and it's true. You don't hear the true story. But if you think about it, Russia's gone, Russia defeated Germany with us, and they defeated Napoleon. They've been around a long time. They're a big fighting
Yeah.
force,
So, of
and it's
course.
very unfair. And Ukraine now doesn't have enough men. They're now using young men and very old men to fight. And we're in a very bad position. And I'm not going to blame exclusively, but I can tell you I could have stopped that. And a smart president could have stopped that. It wouldn't have happened. But we had a
Yeah.
man that actually made it more prevalent. It was so bad. The words that he was using, the stupid threats coming from a stupid face that he was using. I said, this guy's going to cause us a war. He's going to cause us. And let me tell you,
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
lead to World War III. That can lead to World War III. The Middle East can lead to. We have numerous places that could end up in a
Yeah.
World War III right now for no reason
No,
whatsoever.
I think you're right. I think people underrate the risk of World War III, and it's just when you're looking at the risk of global thermonuclear warfare, it's game over for humanity, and it's something that people have, I think, after the end of the Cold War, people have become complacent about, but they actually have forgotten that there are currently a lot of nuclear missiles that have targeting parameters for the United States from other
100%.
countries.
And one of the things
And
we're going to do is
it's
we're going to
yeah.
build an Iron Dome over us. Israel has it. We're going to have the best Iron Dome in the world. We need it, and we're going to make it all in the United States. But we're going to have protection, because it just takes one maniac to start something. We're going to have protection, and
That's what we've been saying. That's what we're trying to keep you out of the White House, fool.
nobody even knows about, frankly. But Israel has it. We're going to have an Iron Dome. But with all of that being said, to me that's so important, the most important. But with all of that being said, the election's coming up, and the people want to hear about the economy and the fact that they
Absolutely, sure.
can't buy groceries because they don't have enough money to buy groceries. The inflation has killed them. Food prices are up 50, 60, even 100% in some cases. And this stupid administration allowed this to happen, and it's a shame. And that's the thing that people most care about, in my opinion. They care about the border a lot, and we discussed the border at great length. It's nice to have a
Yeah, yeah.
forum like this where I can discuss something at length.
Where I can lie about it. The administration of the Biden administration did not cause the current the rise or current peak of prices in the grocery store or from McDonald's or wherever you get your food. This is caused by a thing that you probably heard of called greedflation. We all remember the pandemic and the fact that a lot of businesses were getting ready to go out of business. They had to do a lot of things to keep themselves in business during that time. When the pandemic was over, they had to make up ground, so to speak. So prices went up. They accelerated and augmented prices. And once the pandemic was through, and we were through it, and the economy was starting to move in the direction that it is now, those merchants, supermarkets, corporate entities got greedy. And said, oh, you know what? I used to charge $10 for a dozen chicken wings. Charge $20. I like that. I like the profit from the $20. Leave it that way. So they're greedy. There's talks right now underway to alleviate some of that greed, especially within the corporate supermarket chains. There's a chain, what is it? Albertsons and Stater Brothers, I think, getting ready to merge, and they're quite worried about that because of what it could mean to these prices. But two other chains, and I fail to know what those chains are just at this moment, but have agreed to lower prices going forward. So it's a matter of greed from the corporate entities, not the Biden administration.
Where are we spending money that's sensible? Where is it not sensible?
Right.
And we need to live within our means. We're currently adding, I think, $1 trillion to the deficit roughly every 100 days.
That's right.
And the interest payments on the national debt have now exceeded the defense budget.
By the way, just as a point of information, if you haven't heard, the Harris-Walz team is coming out this week with their economic platform. So they're ready to announce that as part of their ongoing campaign for the White House. We'll look forward to that later on this
Gave
week.
85 billion of it back to Afghanistan, if you can believe it. We gave them 85 billion. You know, they're one of the largest sellers
Yeah.
of military equipment in the world. They're selling what we gave them. That was one of the most embarrassing days in the history of our country. But if you think about, let's go back to the economy. We have to bring energy prices down. Energy started at the price of gasoline. Now your cars don't require too much gasoline, so you know you have a good, and you do make a great product. I have to say, I have to be honest with you. That doesn't mean everybody should have an electric car, but these are minor details. But your product is incredible. But the gasoline, Elon, is the cost of.
You hear that one a couple of weeks ago? I don't know. Donald Trump was talking to somebody, and he said he talked bad about electric cars. Said electric cars are the worst thing in the world. This guy he's speaking to right now, Elon Musk, got a hold of that information prior to that thing that Trump said about electric cars that pissed off Elon Musk. Elon had announced that he was going to give $45 million a month to the Trump campaign. He reneged on that shortly after. So you just heard Trump trying to make up ground on that mistake.
And I have to say that AI, and this is shocking to me, but AI requires twice the energy that the country already produces for everything. So you're going to have to build. We're going to have to build a lot of energy if our country will be competitive with China, because that's our primary competitor for this on the AI. You're going to need a lot of electricity. You're going to need tremendous electricity, like almost double what we produce now for the whole country, if you can believe it.
Sure. Well, just going, back to like.
Did you hear Elon hesitate on that one? We need twice the amount of electricity for AI, for the coming AI. Artificial intelligence does not depend on the amount of power that we have in the power grid. It is a technological advancement that is very much like like your computer. I won't go and try to explain it for those who don't know, but it does not require any more power than we're already putting in our computers and laptops and some of the larger mainframe computers and bases in the the It just doesn't. I don't know where he got that from. Just another Trump lie.
For 2 planes. Now, now they're highly sophisticated.
That's insane.
They're even nicer than your plane, okay? But much more sophisticated. They're very. I won't say what's on it, but they got a lot of stuff on it. Anyway, but it's 5.7.
That's a crazy
It's
number.
a crazy number, but I said, I'm not going to pay 5.7. I'm not going to do it. I said, who made the deal? Obama and his people. I said, well, then I know the deal's no good. I'm not going to do it. And over a course of about 4 weeks, by my saying I'm not going to do it, I got the price reduced by $1.6 billion for the exact same plane, other than we had a nicer paint job, if you want to know the truth. But for the exact same plane, I saved one. And I said to Boeing, man, you guys must make a lot of money if you can reduce the price by that. But now what I do hear is that they're going back to the Biden administration and wanting big cost overruns, because they see these dopey suckers in there, and they'll end up getting some of the money back. But I shaved it by $1.6 billion for the exact same plane. And you can now take that and multiply that out times thousands of other items.
Multiply it by a
the
zillion,
numbers are astronomical.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Well, I mean, I think it would be great to just have a government efficiency commission that takes a look at these things and just ensures that the taxpayer money, the taxpayers' hard-earned money, is spent in a good way. And I'd be happy to help out on such a commission.
I'd love
if it were formed.
Well, you're the greatest cutter. I mean, I look at what you do. You walk in and you just say, you want to quit? They go on strike. I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike, and you say, that's okay, you're all gone.
Okay, yeah, I've about had it with this. Mutual Admiration Society. That's what it's pretty much devolved into, this interview. Again, we thank you for joining us, or hanging in there if you did. What we were attempting to do is try to listen to the interview between Elon Musk and Donald Trump try and get it in real time, hopefully. But there was a denial of service drop. They weren't able to get the video on. Maybe about 20 minutes after they were scheduled to go on at 8 p.m. Eastern. They decided instead, because Twitter or X is a text-based social network platform, not designed to take video, as you see here. And so rather than do video, as they've done in the past, they just went ahead with the audio, and we thought we'd dip into the audio. And from time to time, try and fact-check it. Frankly, not a lot of big fact-checking needed here. A very joyous conversation between two people of the same ilk, some of which have told the same lies, but they're not telling the big ones here. They told a few, and we tried to straighten them out, and we'll see where that goes. But for the most part, it seems like a colossal waste of time. Right now, about, let's see, it's about 9:30 on the East Coast. We're out here on the West Coast, of course. It's about 6:30, and we have better things to do with our evening. So we'll shut it down here, but we're going to be doing this more and more in the weeks to come. Now that the election season is ramped up and we're fully into it, especially with next week's Democratic convention in Chicago set to get underway. We will be posting more and more here, doing more and more live streams. In fact, live streams with hopefully with the ability to take your calls live. We'll take calls live, chat live, and we'll see if we can get through this together leading up to November 5th. Again, that's Now with Elliott Francis here on YouTube and on Facebook, live streamed. Our goal is to try to do this at least once a week, so keep an eye out for this space, and keep an eye out for anything else that we will try and do, and we will hope to see you soon. Take care.